I am Dr. Andrew Doan. Have you wondered if it's safe to eat undercooked meat? Is it safe to eat raw fish? What can happen if this snail was eaten alive? In this video, I will answer these questions and give you 7 tips on how to prevent parasites, infections, and food poisoning. Where we get our food is important. An Australian woman went to the doctor initially for stomach pains and diarrhea. She developed breathing problems, forgetfulness, and depression. A brain scan showed inflammation of her frontal lobe. A neurosurgeon operated on her brain and was shocked to find a 3-inch parasitic worm. The woman foraged native vegetation to use in her cooking around a lake inhabited by pythons, which was the worm's natural host. The vegetation was contaminated with worm eggs. It is important to obtain food that is free from parasites and parasitic eggs. Also, cooking your food to a temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit will also kill most parasites and eggs. This second case illustrates the importance of properly cooking food. A 27-year-old man ate raw snails. He reported significant vision loss and floaters in the right eye. He presented to the doctor with count fingers vision. What that means is that typically when we go to the eye doctor and we read the eye chart, the vision can be 20/20 up to, let's say, 2400. Meaning that at 2400, we see at 20 feet what other people can stand back at 400 feet to see. So that's pretty bad vision. That's typically the big letter on the chart, typically a big letter E. However, when they're count fingers vision, their vision is so bad, the only thing they can do is count fingers as 2 or 3 or 5. On exam, there was a worm moving in his retina with retinal tracts. The worm was killed with laser burns and he was treated with oral medication. He was also treated with oral steroids to reduce the inflammation in his eye. Amazingly, he was able to regain 20/60 vision. So as you recall, when we go to the eye doctor, we look at the eye chart. He saw 20/60. 20/60 vision means that he sees at 20 feet what other people see at 60 feet. The worm was a rat lungworm and lives in rodents. Snails and slugs become infected when they come into contact with rat feces. This man became infected when he ate an infected snail. Therefore, always cook snails completely, never eat them raw. To avoid getting infected with parasites from food, follow these 7 tips. Tip number 1, cook meat, poultry, and fish thoroughly. Get a food thermometer. Beef, pork, veal, lamb steaks, chops, and roast should be cooked to 145 degrees and then let it sit for 3 minutes. Ground meats, however, should be cooked to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. All poultry should be cooked to 165 degrees. A medium steak is about 145 degrees and is adequately cooked. So some of you are wondering because you like rare steaks or medium rare steaks. So what is the risk of getting a tapeworm infection in the United States? It is approximately about 1,000 cases per year in the US. Tip number 2, wash your vegetables and fruit with clean water. If you are traveling through a developing country, don't eat the fruit or vegetable unless you can boil it, cook it, or peel it. Otherwise, forget it. Tip number 3, avoid consuming raw or undercooked eggs. Eggs and poultry can be contaminated with salmonella bacteria. In addition to raw eggs, cake and cookie batter with eggs should not be ingested. Tip number 4, freeze meat to -4 degrees Fahrenheit for a few days to kill parasites. Freezing is an effective method to killing parasites. Fish used for sushi are usually frozen soon after being caught. This is why most raw sushi are safe to eat. Tip number 5, maintain good hygiene while handling and preparing food. Our hands touch things all day long. There are a lot of germs on our hands. Proper hand washing with clean water and soap reduces the germ count significantly. Wash your hands when handling and preparing food. Tip number 6, drink clean, treated water and avoid consuming water from questionable sources. In modern countries, we take clean drinking water for granted. If you're traveling or living in an area without access to clean water, boiling, filtering, or iodine treatment will make the water safe to drink. Tip number 7, avoid eating street food or in restaurants with poor sanitation. The first thing I check out is if the food vendor or restaurant workers have access to a functioning bathroom and clean water to wash their hands. If the vendors and workers do not have access to a bathroom, their hands cannot be cleaned properly while handling the food. I am interested about hearing your travel tips and how you stay healthy while traveling. Please place your comments or questions below. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, I wish you health and joy.